What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. Welcome back to another one of our Kentucky Derby updates. Well, we're here for another week. We got a good show for you coming up today. We're going to have John White's updated list like we always have. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to have my updated list as well. We're going to have John's comments. We're going to kind of preview the Lecomte. The full preview is already out on the website, so you can check that out, but we're going to preview it here a little bit as well. Before we get going into all of that, let's recap what happened this week / last week when you're watching this. I didn't think we'd have to do a lot of recapping, to be quite honest with you, but I think we're going to have to. And the reason being is I think we saw some solid performances. So let's start with that. And let's start with So Happy, who was able to kind of, pull off a mild upset in the San Vicente Stakes. So Happy wins the race, pays $780 to win there. Beat Bob Baffert's Butane, a heavy favorite. You see 210 to place, 210 to show for that one. I was pretty impressed with So Happy in this race. The final time of this one for 7 furlongs came back 121 and change. Pretty decent final time, I thought, when they were running him. To be quite honest, I wasn't paying attention. Was the track playing fast or slow or whatever, when that happened and when that race happened. But went back and kind of analyzed it versus some of the other races that happened that day and thought, there's some really good signs here. And then, lo and behold, So Happy, a 96 buyer speed figure for the effort. So that's a pretty good effort. That's on par with Nearly in an allowance race a couple weeks ago at Gulfstream Park. I guess that was just a week ago at Gulfstream Park. He received a 96 buyer as well. So two nice ones here. I think as far as the Kentucky Derby goes and why So Happy did not make my top 5 this week, just a spoiler alert there. He is by run happy. It does kind of feel like a mile and a quarter might not be this worstest thing. Feels more like 7 furlongs, maybe a mile might be best. Now, may run in the next prep at Santa Anita going a mile and 16th, may run really well, and we may be looking at it going, well, I don't know, maybe he can go a little bit longer than that, but that's just kind of my skepticism as of right now with this horse. But impressed, no doubt. Again, he did it kind of the right way too, kind of last thing on him. And Mike Somich and I talked about this horse a lot on the show that we do together for VSiN. And I believe, and shout out to Mike, I think he picked So Happy. I know he picked So Happy to win the race. And kind of the thing that he alluded to is like, man, this horse kind of does it the right way. He's pretty patient. He lets kind of the speed go out there, and he's not, slow by any means out of the gate, but he kind of just stalks the pace and goes and gets them. And that's what he did here. And Butane kind of tried to do the same thing, and So Happy was just a better horse. So give him credit. We'll see what happens, when it comes to Butane next as well. I'm sure he'll go along the trail here. He'll probably try to stretch out again. Both horses I thought were pretty good. It's hard to really tell. It was a 4-horse field, or a 5-horse field, but what this is moving forward, we're not quite sure, but a nice solid 7 furlong race there for So Happy. So he should get the shout out for sure. All right, now let's go to Gulfstream Park. A lot of people are going to be talking about this horse. So there were 2 maidens that we're going to talk about. I want to talk about Chief Wallaby winning the 4th race at Gulfstream Park. This was another 7 furlong race as well. Making the debut, Chief Wallaby for Bill Mott. And usually Bill Mott runners on debut, and it's not impossible that they win, but usually it takes maybe the 2nd race before we see their best. Think about Sovereignty. He debuted at Saratoga, and he got 4th, in his debut race going 1 turn. And then he lost again in another race. Just to show you, these Bill Mott first-time starters, he doesn't play the let's crank them up to be as good as they possibly can be. He wants to, kind of build them up race by race. And so Chief Wallaby kind of missed the break, was kind of messing around. And boy, did he turn it on. And it was super impressive because the number 5 horse here, the Puma, who I think is a good horse as well, a debut runner that, same connections as Mage back in the day. And I thought he looked really good, honestly, in this race until Chief Wallaby caught him and just annihilated him. I thought the last, let's say, 50 to 100 yards of this race was a thing of beauty. Chief Wallaby, a great acceleration under a hand ride, kind of under wraps at the wire. Horse is bred to go longer. I think Bill Mott's got a really, really nice prospect. Kind of my thing this year on the Derby Trail. I'm not going to get overly excited about maidens, because so many of them disappoint us. but this one had the look. And I think anytime a Bill Mott first-time starter wins, it kind of does turn some heads. And you kind of think, well, maybe this horse is pretty decent. So Chief Wallaby, the win there, 85 Beyer speed figure. And you might think immediately and go, well, it's kind of low. For a Bill Mott firster, not really. I think it's pretty good. Secondly, that 85 Beyer speed figure, it matches what anybody in the Lecomte running this weekend has. We'll get to that in a second. But just kind of to show you right now, first race debuting, probably didn't go the distance he wanted to go. I think it was pretty good to get that 85. All right, I'm just going to scroll down the screen here real quick for you guys, and I'm going to stop here at race number 8. This was another maiden special weight. Interesting what happens here with this one. This one was at 1 mile and a 16th, so it did get a 2-turn race here, and it's the Bill Mott trained Thunderously that gets the job done here. Junior Alvarado, by the way, he was aboard both those runners, Chief Wallaby and Thunderously. Thunderously gets 87. This was not the debut race here for Thunderously, but I thought this was pretty good, guys. I don't think this field was very good. I feel like the Puma who ran in the 4th race, he's pretty legit. I thought he looked pretty legit. He was working pretty legit. So I think that was, Chief Wallaby beat a better horse, but Thunderously ran pretty well. Same kind of thing. Once he hit the stretch, he really found another gear. So we'll see what happens with this horse as well. This horse gets an 87 Beyer speed figure. So, kind of around in a decent spot there, nothing amazing, but still solid. And this horse is probably going to get better for Bill Mott. So Mott's got a couple, and we'll see what happens. I don't think either one of them are sovereignty. I just want to make that very clear. But I don't know. I think these two could be heard from down the Kentucky Derby Trail. So a couple of nice, winners in the maiden special weights there at Gulfstream Park for Bill Mott. And last week, there was no official Kentucky Derby prep race. So you kind of had to look at some of those. And, that was kind of where your eyes went because there really wasn't anything else to kind of watch. So those were the 3 things that I kind of saw, the 3 big things there. Let's get to the top 5s now, John and I. And there's no changes for either one of us. So I'll go through them very quickly, and then I will read you what John sent us this week, and then we'll get into the Lecomte. All right. Let's go. You know what? No, let's not go to John's first. Let's go to mine first, and then we'll get to John's and John's commentary. Commandment, number 5 for me. Pretty impressive winner of the Mucho Macho Man. It's still early. I was talking to a fellow fantasy league member, Kevin B., and he was like, "Man, we were kind of close to drafting Commandment. It just went a couple picks before we're going to draft him." And I said, "It does suck when that happens. It's still just January, and he still only beat 3 horses. So you just have to temper the expectations, even with the horses that I just talked about. It's like, man, it's January. 2 of them are just maiden winners. 1 just won a 7-furlong race. You're kind of piecing together things at this moment. But still, Commandment was very good. He's number 5 on my list. And I'm not saying he's not going to get better and run really, really well next out. I'm just saying it's still January. You got to be careful not to get over the moon about anything at this point. Number 4, Litmus Test for me. Another one you kind of got to be careful with not to get over the moon. He has been soundly defeated by Ted Noffey a couple times, but once he got away from him, he did win the Los Alamitos Futurity, so he'll be number 4 for me. One note about the Los Alamitos Futurity, Blacksmith, who was second in that race, came back and ran in a maiden in Santa Anita. He was off the board. So kind of a strike against Litmus Test. Maybe he's got a little bit more to prove. Number 3, Renegade for Todd Pletcher here. So Todd Pletcher's got 2 of my top 3. He's ran very, very well in his last 2 starts. Broke the maiden, but got disqualified, so didn't break the maiden. 2 races back, then ran second in the rims, and he can still run on a maiden if he wants. We'll see what happens with Renegade. Number 2, Paladin. He won the rims and stakes, and he quote-unquote won the race that Renegade got disqualified for. They hit the wire together that day. They both ran winning races. So Paladin, number 2 for me. Ted Noffey, number 1, once again for me. And, again, he's 4 for 4. He's going to be the unanimous 2-year-old champion. And we'll just kind of see how he develops as a 3-year-old. And he's going to get going soon here on the Kentucky Derby Trail. All right, let's go to John's here. John has Strategic Risk at number 5, winner of the Smarty Jones Stakes. And obviously a nice win there for Mark Cassidy. The Florida bred certainly likes 2 turns. We saw it there in the Smarty Jones. Number 4 is Commandment. So, he has Commandment 4. I've got him 5. And again, John was pretty impressed with the Mucho Macho Man. Litmus test number 3. John, very impressed with Los Alamitos Maturity, as was I. So we'll see if litmus test can get going here soon. More on that in a second. Number 2, Paladin for John. And then number 1, Ted Noffey for John. So the same top 2 for him and I. All right, let's go to John's comments now. He's got a decent amount, like usual, pretty good amount for us. So I'll read them off for you now, and then we'll talk about the Lecomte. Here goes John's comments. While there is no change in my top 5, 2 of the 5 did have their first recorded workout of 2026 in the past few days. Paladin, winner of the Rimson, had a workout Saturday at Payson Park in Florida for trainer Chad Brown. Litmus test, winner of the Los Alamitos Maturity, had a workout Friday at Santa Anita for trainer Bob Baffert. And speaking of Santa Anita, So Happy won Saturday San Vicente Stakes at the Great Race Place for trainer Mark Glatt. I look at So Happy's performance to have been good enough that he is now lurking below my top 5. I'll cut in for a second here and say that's kind of where I had him too, pending his next start. Okay, back to John here. So Happy is undefeated in 2 starts, and his final time in the San Vicente was the fastest since Nyquist took the 2016 renewal. Nyquist would go on to win the Kentucky Derby. Of course, he went out to Florida after that. This is me talking now. He went out to Florida after that, kind of a weird trail. But anyway, it worked out quite well for him. All right, back to John. Not surprisingly, in view of So Happy's excellent final time in the San Vicente, he posted a serious 96 Beyer speed figure. Just how serious is So Happy's 96 Beyer? Well, it towers over the top Beyers for the 11 entrants in Saturday's Lecomte Stakes in New Orleans at Fairgrounds. The highest Beyer in the Lecomte field is an 85. I actually just mentioned that just a minute ago, that the Beyers are a little low in that race. All right, finally to John, his last comment here. Lecomte looks like a wide open race to me. The question is, will someone from Lecomte be able to crack my top 5 next week? We shall see. John is quite the professional. He knows how to transition. He's been a television anchor before. Let's go to the Lecomte now. Field of 11, as John mentioned, and this is a freaking wide open affair. Highest Beyer in the field is an 85. Most of these horses are somewhere between like a 77 and an 85. And most of them fall on the 78, 79, 80, 81 range. It's really quite crazy. It is wide open. You know, the number 2 Carson Street looked pretty good in a maiden at Fairgrounds last time out. Golden Tempo, the 5 horse, bred extremely well. Just one race under his belt, but Cherie DeVoe, Jose Ortiz, quite the combo there, not only at Fairgrounds, but all over the country. The number 6 Thunderbuck looked very good for Brad Cox last out. Mesquite, that was the horse I picked to win the Gun Runner, scratched out of the Gun Runner, and now going to come in this race. Flavian Pratt gets the call there, so that's not a bad sign whatsoever either. White Tiger, another Brad Cox horse, a very impressive last time out. Stopped the Car, 2 very impressive races for Brendan Walsh. Walsh has been doing very well here of late. And then Chip Honcho for Steve Asmussen, who won the Gun Runner last time out. It's a hell of a betting race. There's a lot of ways you can go. What I would say about this field at the current moment before the race goes off, a lot of potential. But that's just what it is and where it kind of stops. These horses have not stamped themselves as a star. There's a lot of potential stars. What if Golden Tempo takes another step? What if Thunderbuck does? What if Mesquite does? What if White Tiger does? Stop the Car. Chip Honcho gets a little bit better. Carson Street builds off that last race. It's pretty darn good. We could end up exiting this race and go, well, they're all kind of average. Maybe an 86, 87 type of Beyer wins it, and it's a really close race, and you get 2 or 3 prospects that are decent, but maybe not a serious contender. Or 1 or 2 may step up, and we may see something a little bit better than that. I don't know which way that's going to go, obviously. I'm not a fortune teller, but it does kind of feel like with the depth of potential, 4, 5, 6 horses that you look at this and go, well, man, these horses are really bred to go the Derby distance, and they're kind of bred to be pretty good. Usually when there's that much depth in a race, 1 or 2 will actually step up and run a little bit better than they've been running. So everybody really exiting a maiden race except for those horses that ran in the Gun Runner, which Quality Mischief, Crown the Buckeye, and Chip Honcho were the three that are exiting the Gun Runner. Chip Honcho, the winner, Crown the Buckeye third, and Quality Mischief fourth. All these other ones are exiting maidens or allowance races, I should say. A couple have ran in allowances. So it's very interesting, right? Maybe that stakes experience will help in this race where these other ones kind of get their feet wet, or maybe these horses are just ready to pop. Going to be very interesting to see what happens. But I went number 8, White Tiger, on top, by the way, in this one. That's who I picked on top. Still go watch the full preview. I run through all 11 horses in depth, and I kind of give you some multi-race horses, some exacta trifecta horses as well. But I did go number 8, White Tiger, on top for Brad Cox and Irad Ortiz. All right, guys. This is my favorite video to do every week. I feel like I say that all the time. Really love to get John's comments. He usually sends them on Sunday night, and I just kind of wait for him, read through them, and always curious to what he has to say. By the way, big shout out to John White. I heard he had a pretty good Sunday betting at Santa Anita. I'm not going to get into the details of what he did, but very good on you, sir, and congratulations on all your cashes as well. That's what it's all about, and it sounds like you did a pretty good job there. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this weekend. We'll be back next week for more. No question about it. We'll recap what you see on the screen here, the Lecomte Stakes. Not a lot of preps next weekend. Talking about the 24th because it's Pegasus week. And so we'll kind of take a break from, the Derby trail there for abbreviated 1 week period. And then it is pedal to the metal, as they say, after that Pegasus, as we get into the big time races coming up February, March, and April. So, all right, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Hit that like button if you liked. Hit subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alerting time. We do we do videos like this, I should say. And most importantly, come back next week for another Kentucky Derby update.